Okay, let's go ahead and start talking about rowing. What we'll use as a premises for our warm-up, you know that I'll give it to you usually as 500 meters, starting at anywhere from level 4 to level 6, and you'll see this rower right here, the damper setting, in which I'm referring to, is set at level 4, right in here. And I would like you to stay somewhat within this range right here, 4, 5, or 6. What you will see mostly is a lot of people that will want to raise this all the way up to level 10, thinking that they'll get themselves the best workout if they hit the highest resistance possible. And that's not the case. We want to remind ourselves that this is a vessel that we're trying to row in water, a boat. What the range of 4 to 6 allows us to accomplish is that of a canoe. Okay? So if you can imagine a canoe where its hull is very narrow, it tends to slice through water relatively easy. Okay, for every stroke you generate, it's going to go only so far before it slows down, but it cuts through water relatively easily. When we go ahead and raise the bar over here to around 7, 8, 9, 10 and above, what we're actually doing is we're making our hull wider. If you could think of a barge, a Titanic, a battleship, it's a lot wider hull that cuts and makes more contact and surface area at the beginning of the boat or at the front of the boat with the water. So it has a lot more resistance to it. The only thing with it, though, that comes with that is also once it gets going, its momentum carries itself, so it tends to take a lot more force to slow it down. Neither of those factors are what we are trying to accomplish. And anything below 4 to damper setting of 1 is no resistance at all. What we like to say is like Jesus Christ walking on water. Okay? Now, the next business in order is going to be knowing how to set up the foot peg positioning. You're going to notice that they have number settings in there where you will lift up and adjust to your foot size. What we're looking for is to get the ball of our foot and toes to make the most contact on these rectangular pads right here. If you have ever done any type of explosive work with a clean, snatch, or anything like a jump motion, you know that you want to plant your foot down to the toes as if you're running in a sprint or jumping again. Okay? So we're measuring up right in there where our heels will meet up in the heel cup back here. What we're looking for is a nice clean fit that we can have it so we can strap down and allow ourselves to get triple extension at the end of our row. Not at the beginning, but at the end of our row. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide when we see somebody actually rowing. Okay, now we got Sal right here rowing, and I'm not trying to attack you, Sal, if you ever get to see this video. You know, this is all for learning purposes. We can learn from each other, so don't take it to heart that I use you as an example. Usually I try to get myself to do it, but your video is readily available, and I don't have time to shoot too many videos of myself to get that perfect angle. Anyways, that being said, what I want you to notice is, right off the back, is Sal's back angle. What Sal has going for him, though, at the moment, is a flat foot on his surface, which is what I was talking about when we're placing our feet in measurement. You can also see that it looks like Sal's feet or toes are actually going way over that. So he actually, even though he has a flat foot, he is a little misaligned. Okay? So he wants to size that up to an ideal position. Now, going back to his back angle, since we're already beyond that, we want to be able to make sure that we have a straight back from head to or hip to head. So we want to correct that right away. He's going to want to put his position directly over his seat at his start position, which will be very relative to any type of pull mechanism known as deadlifts or clean pulls. Okay? Feet flat at the beginning. As he begins to push, he's on the rebound. Notice another problem here, what I talked about previously. His heels are coming off at the beginning of his pull, something we don't want for ourselves. If you can imagine back to that analogy of the pull again, you don't want to do a deadlift on the balls of your feet with your heel off. You want a flat foot, right? Especially at the beginning. Okay. So as he's going for his power stroke or his drive, what he's going to do, he's going to push with his legs. He's going to want to delay his arms until his knees create a path without obstruction. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a straight line without any type of wavering around here. Okay? As long as he can keep his chain in that pathway, which is the shortest distance between 2 points, is a straight line, he has a pretty decent stroke. Now you're going to notice that as he's going in for the recovery or the rebound, his knees are starting to bend. And as they start to bend, they're going to collide with his hands, or he has one choice to go up and around them. Luckily, he kind of beat them at that point, but you're also going to notice his back is coming into play right there. If his back was tight, he would have definitely had an obstruction with his hand and knee coordination as he comes into the stroke. And you'll see that the paddle dips down a little bit too low at that position, which is also part of his back angle, so his breakdown there. Okay, so let's see as it goes, as he progresses, gets a nice extension of the legs, the paddles come on in. I would also like you to notice his arm bend in this position. Oh, excuse me on that. His arm bend. If anybody's done any bench press technique, you know I tell you to bend the bar, and this is very relative so that those elbows stay nice and tight to the body, and it goes anywhere from upper abdominal to about chest level, depending on how much of a lean back you get at the end of your extension. Ideally, we would like to get something close to an ideal lean, what we like to say between 10 and 2 o'clock. Comes into a stroke at the recovery right there, somewhere around 10 and 2. So that's his range. Okay. Now, let's see his stroke again. He dips down a little bit in there. Okay, so that's the major points right there. Let's see if we can't address them on the next slide. Okay, here we are. So we addressed a couple of his issues. Noticeably, you're going to see his foot pads are measured up in a better position for him. Okay. His back angle is a lot better. It could use a little bit more, but it's a lot better. His feet are flat right there. Let's see where he's at on his stroke. So he's in recovery. His feet didn't come up too bad right there. Okay. He's going to push with force, legs first. As soon as they clear, his arms come back in. Not a bad lean back. Probably he can benefit from a little bit more. And now what he's going to want to do, he's going to want those arms to beat his knees. And this is where I would use a cue of punching back with his arms, just so he won't run into the timing of his knees. And again, he had a little bit of perfect timing where it just worked to his benefit right there. So it's not a bad drive. He's going to push with his legs again, pull on in with his lean. You can notice that there's a little whip in that chain right there. We want a smooth tension throughout the whole motion. Push, 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 and drive. You see he wants the tendency of his feet to jump off that pad as the video starts all over again. Not bad right there. Little timing with the hands and the knees and a tighter back arch would benefit him most. And again, the reason why we love the rower as a form of warm-up, because it's very relative to a lot of moves that we do, namely the deadlift. The deadlift sets us up with the kettlebell swing. The deadlift and the kettlebell swing are all relative to vertical jumps. And if we ever get into, hopefully we'll get into the explosive movements of cleans and snatches and everything else that's relative to that, box jumps and so on and so forth. Let's see what else we have for you. I think that's as simple as I can make it on the video. There's probably a lot more. Let me see if I can add a little bit more with the vertical jump. Okay, here's Sal's vertical jump. So what I was trying to convey to Sal is the role that his toes play and his feet play when he goes into a vertical jump and what's known as triple extension. Triple extension refers to 3 joints. Excuse that double tap. His hip joint, his knee joint, and his ankle joint. When they all get to triple extension, he's basically jumping where his toes are pointing down and his body straight as a board. Okay, so as you can see, he's going to set up for the wind-up. He's hearing my cues and he's trying to understand what I'm trying to convey to him. Told him just give me a vertical jump, and here goes that jump as he sets on up, feet flat, and he takes that jump directly on up, and there's triple extension. Notice his hip to knee all the way to ankle, tips of his toes are the last parts that come off, and as he lands, it's going to be in an exact reverse. toes, midfoot to heel, bends the knee slightly to absorb the shock.